Oh no! I'm devastated.
Good morning, bad news! Tennessee is becoming a single-party, non-democratic authoritarian state after Republican lawmakers expelled Democratic members for peacefully protesting against gun violence. The protest was initiated after Democratic lawmakers had their microphones turned off while speaking on gun reform during a session, which is literally their job. The subsequent protest was attended by hundreds of constituents and resulted in no arrests, property damage, or violence whatsoever. But power-hungry Republicans called it an insurrection and immediately voted on whether to expel these 3 Democratic House members for participating, but only ended up expelling 2 members. Can you guess which ones? And to be clear, expelling a House member is quite literally the worst punishment available to this legislative body and has only been done twice since the Civil War. In that time, the Tennessee House has refused to expel Republican members for things like fraud, bribery, money laundering, and this horrible thing that we can't say. But the point of this blatantly wrong decision is that it explicitly says both free speech and peaceful protest are not tolerated if you're a Democratic lawmaker in Tennessee. It is designed to silence dissent and weaken political opposition, which is the first and most obvious step towards single-party rule, and is common in authoritarian states like Russia, North Korea, Iran, Zimbabwe, and Florida.
Stay with me, stay with me.
We live in an age where grown-ass men get irrationally upset over a background detail in a single frame of animation. You're better than that.
Do you guys remember that time that Miami police tried to shoot an autistic man who was playing with a toy truck and they shot his caregiver instead? His unarmed black caregiver who had his arms up and was telling the officers that the gentleman had autism and was playing with a toy car. Y'all remember that?
I'm not interested in your drama. I am not interested in taking accountability for my actions, and I will call you crazy if you ask that I do so. I'm up for anything. I won't do dishes unless you ask me to. Ask me anything. I was unwilling to commit more than 3 minutes to the construction of this profile. 6 feet tall, because apparently it matters. I'm trying to pull off a humble brag. Is it working? I work hard so I can play hard. I have a job and a drinking problem. I'm the funniest person you will ever meet. I personally find myself very funny. I have an old soul. I also find myself very profound. My most controversial opinion? Pineapple. It belongs on pizza. I possess almost 0 opinions. Positive vibes only. It's okay with me if you have feelings, so long as you keep those feelings to yourself. I don't want them to bother me. I'm a professional, so I need to stay discreet. I'm trying to have an affair, so I need to be discreet.
I can't watch these videos anymore. I can't do it. I'm gonna sound like the bitter black woman, but I don't give a fuck. I am bitter. Where are these white allies when shit gets real? When there are no barricades, when it's not a protest? Where are y'all when our people are getting shot up in the streets? Are y'all jumping in front of the bullets? You're not. Because at the end of the day, the action of you going and standing in front of that black person at the protest symbolizes that you are willing to die for the cause. And the majority of y'all are not. I'm not saying that there's not good white allies out there, but I am saying that I'm tired of seeing those little videos that have like 3 million views showing how amazing white allies are when outside of a protest setting, the shit is still the same. We are still being murdered and y'all are nowhere to be found when it happens. I'm tired of seeing these little demonstrations because that's what they are. Demonstrations.
Women and men are equal doesn't mean one is saying that women and men have no differences.
Yes, it does. Equal means equal. That means y'all can do everything we can do. But if every man quit his job today, who's gonna fix your car? Who's gonna fix your house? Who's gonna do the plumbing in your house? Who's gonna make your clothes? Like, who's gonna build anything? Like, look at this. We built all of this. These roads, these lights, these cars, these buildings. all of this. We've built the whole world. We have the power to change the environment. Like, y'all can't survive without us, but we can't reproduce without you. Like, you're forgetting, before the last 100 years, like the 1920s, women were not working at all. Your only existence was in consort with a man. Now, having a family and having children, that's all that women value. We built everything for thousands of years. Y'all have been on our backs the whole time, but now y'all want to run off at the mouth because you can make money doing hair and nails. Like, there are millions of secretaries that make an average 30 to 40K salary, but 95% of them are women, getting paid for making coffee, keeping up with a schedule, and reminding the person that pays them of their appointments. Like, women are paid for being women, for being attentive, nurturing, and caring. Like, look at this. Nurses are 91% women, just caring for people. Secretaries, 94%. We already talked about that. Preschool and kindergarten teachers, 97% are women. They get paid for dealing with children. That's the most natural thing. Women get paid for what comes natural to them and make the same money as the average man that has to develop some kind of skills to make the average salary or greater than that. Like, this society has given y'all a handicap, so no.
This man literally said that women are useless and that we would be nothing without men. Nothing. That our sole purpose on this earth is to reproduce. That's what we call misogyny, right? But what's so funny to me is people like this would never, ever classify themselves as a misogynist. In fact, if him or anyone else who thinks that way saw this video and saw me calling them a misogynist, they'd be like, how dare you, stupid woman? How dare you call me a misogynist? I'm not. So for all y'all, specifically black men, because you understand racism, right? Just like this guy. I'm gonna give you an example to show you what I mean. It's like if a white person comes up to you and calls you the N-word, and you say, hey, you're a racist. And they say, no, I'm not racist. I love everyone equally. Like, it's denial, right? They're obviously racist, just like this guy is obviously a misogynist. Also, I find it really funny how it's these types of men who say not all men when we're talking about sexual assault or like anything bad that men do, saying that we need to stop generalizing men. Yet you have no issue generalizing men when it comes to the creation of the world. He literally said men did everything. You would be nothing without us.
If you are seeing this, that means I have decided to come out as a sex worker on Easter Sunday. Cheers, bitch. Grab your tea. I'm having Martinelli's because I unfortunately no longer live a life where I get to wake up and drink champagne. Girl, don't hurt nobody. Why am I telling you this? My name is Ismatu and I became a stripper when I was in grad school. That was before I got on TikTok, so I was doing it because I had spent my entire life savings on a car to become a stripper in Chicago because I was broke. I wasn't about to go home. I had my first big girl apartment and I was like, we got to get it how we live it because there's no going backwards. Even after doing months of research, I could not have known how much sex work would fundamentally change my person for the better, right? Like, I'm not talking about, trauma and whatnot. That's also true. But like, I am a better listener. I'm a better therapist. I'm a better friend. I'm a better organizer. I am a better community member because I am a stripper. And I'm gonna be a stripper till the day I die. I feel the need to tell you all this here on like my largest social media platforms because I have a politic of the personal is political, as in my personal life and the life that I've experienced has compelled my thought and action. I want to be honest about why I care about Malcolm X's alleged chapters in sex work and why I care about national labor strikes and why I care so much about unions and making sure people know how much power we have as the worker bee. It's because of sex work. I'm also a recent graduate of the University of Chicago. Holla at your girl. Like a whole 3 years in the making. I was supposed to be done with that degree last year, but I ran out of money, I ran out of time, I ran out of energy. There are two big reasons I was able to get that very expensive piece of paper. One was because of the kindness of people from TikTok who sent me $1, $2, $3, $4 so that I could pay off the rest of that degree. Like, thinking about that still makes me cry. And the other reason was because when I was in my first year and I went to my manager and I was like, I am about to drop out. Like, I'm so done with this school. I hate elite academy. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. My manager looked at me and was like, I will fire you. If you drop out of graduate school, I will fire you. I will be damned if you don't get your degree. I know it has its ups and downs and I can't ever recommend sex work in good conscience, but I also, like, the club saved my life. Not even joking. And I'm also a therapist who is actively against licensure because of sex work. Because the people that I want to see are people that may or may not be hunted by the state, and I have no desire to document them. I'm actually going to be talking about that for the whole rest of the week because social work has hunted sex workers since the beginning of its inception. Did you know one of the original goals of social work was to eradicate sex work by any means necessary in the United States? Y'all were very green to Raquel Savage when she made some motherfucking points. But in any case, I just wanted to be more vulnerable with you all. I wanted to be honest as people that like clearly see me and love me for what it's worth and believe in me. Thank you.
heart to heart.
I am my mother's savage daughter, the one who runs barefoot, cursing sharp stones. I am my mother's savage daughter, I will not cut my hair, I will not lower my voice.
The Biden administration just sold out the trans community, and I need to explain how. You see, they just released the Title IX document that details how trans athletes should be able to compete in sports, and it legitimizes discrimination. It says that you can discriminate against trans athletes if you have an educational reason to do so and you minimize harm to the athlete, but that is not all. The document is 113 pages long, and it reads like a roadmap on how to discriminate. It says, for instance, that you can use physical exams. It says that you can use the birth certificate gender markers where they are banning it in several states right now. It even outlines reasons and justifications that you can use to justify those bans, like limited scholarship opportunities for cisgender athletes. The entire document is built upon the premise that trans people are not who they say they are and do not deserve the full rights of their gender. And let me tell you something, the organizations, many organizations, are just acting like this is hunky-dory and that this is perfectly fine. But it's not. And so that's why I'm here to tell you today that unless we raise stink about this and we demand full inclusion in our Title IX policies, they're going to sell us this. And they're going to sell us this with a smile on their face. We've got to reject it. We have to give transgender athletes full rights, protections in the federal law. This is something that the Biden administration has full control over. And the fact that they've sold this out, it's very upsetting. Trans people belong in sports. Trans people belong, period.
What's up, Seth? Wow, that's a cool Mustang you have. Who makes that? Ford? You know, Ford. Ford! LGBT pioneer Ford. You know about Ford, right, Seth? One of the best places for gay people to work? Ford. So go ahead and avoid your gay beer in your gay car, Seth.
Oh, I love disability awareness. Are you aware that between 33 and 50% of people the police use force against are disabled, and the Autism Speaks mobile is complicit with all of it?
At the end of the day, more people are watching boys' sports than ever before. You know, most people prefer to watch normal athletes. Can I help you? You're checking in for a parent-teacher conference. Is Dad sick? I think this might be the first mom we've had all week. Well, good for you being here. What is your child's teacher's name? You're not sure? Okay, what grade are they in? You don't know? Okay, what is their name? Okay. I hope Dad gave you a list of questions to ask. Your daughter is in the 4th grade, and her teacher is Mr. Edwards. He is in room 202. Do you know how to get up there? Why don't we have somebody help you? Mr. Jones, we have a mom here for a conference. Yeah, I know. She needs some help getting up to room 202. Can you come down here and escort her? All right, why don't you wait in the hallway, and he'll be right down to escort you. Her husband is one lucky man. Such a hands-on mom.
Communism has led to the greatest uptick in life expectancy in world history. It has led to the greatest spread of prosperity in world history.
Italians and Irish are not a race. The fact that y'all don't know the difference between race, ethnicity, and nationality is starting to grind my gears, you understand me?
Well, you don't know your history because Italians and Irish also went through racism in this country.
Education is elevation, and the word y'all want to use is xenophobia, a dislike or prejudice against people from other countries. Yes, we can acknowledge that Europeans had a lot of internal conflict amongst themselves that centered around ethnicity, language, and national differences, but it is not racism. Pointing out that Americans of English descent was being discriminatory to immigrants of Irish or Italian descent is not really hitting the way y'all wanted to. I'll say it differently. Acknowledging that white people in America were shitty to other white people in America does not explain away racism the way you think it does. There are white Italians and black Italians and white Irish and black Irish. You see what I'm saying? Education is elevation, and stop taking the...
Come along with me as I tweeze my little beard and talk about why white people should not be wearing cowries. So if you don't know what a cowrie is this little shell, and in pre-colonial times in Africa, cowries were of high financial and divine value. So, it was a big spiritual thing, but it was also a big economic thing. Now, obviously, with colonization comes the destabilizing of Africa, the untelling, the washing away of history, stories, livelihoods. And the truth about it is that I am triggered when I see white people interact with culture and history that British on the continent are not able to. They're not able to do safely. Like the other day, I literally had some family members worried that I had joined a cult and that I was using black magic and that I was, following a deity because I had done my own learning about the cowrie, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to jump back into this cult African culture, this Nigerian culture, this West African culture that I was denied of, and I want to explore that away from a Western white supremacy, Christian lens that we always have to. And so, the fact that I had to go through that and I had to go through this demonization, and I'm seeing some white people wearing cowries to their wedding. Girl, I just don't understand it. I don't know if you guys can... I know y'all couldn't see me tweezing, but I don't think we are at that point in which you are able to, remove the cowrie from Africa. And I don't think that you should be wearing cowries unless you are celebrating an African friend with an African friend. Don't be celebrating African friends on your own. It's not your culture. It's not your culture. Keep your hands off it. Keep your hands off it, because there are still people on the continent who are not able to safely access what you are using as beauty and easily able to take off, and put on without any repercussions, without your community treating you a different way. It's the ability to interact with cultures that have deep historical context and not have any attachment to that. So stop it. Stop it.
This is a work of art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. This is bullshit. This is a work of art. But this is bullshit.
I've never been to a European American tribal wedding. It's so quiet. Are those the male bridesmaids? I wore the tribal wedding color. It looks really good on me, white. It kind of washes out the bride. Psst, question. Is that a relative? And those babies, are those cousins of yours?
My uncle is being censored. He's being censored at his public school that he teaches at because of all this gender ideology. At the end of every lesson, he would talk about how there's two genders and marriage is between a man and a woman. And the school said, hey, listen, you're a math teacher. You can only teach math.
Of course. That's the way they get around it. When they can't give you an answer, they go into the specifics.
The school said, listen, you're a math teacher, teach math. You can only teach math. You can't teach about gender and how there's only two genders.
Well, math is also being censored, right? You can't say 2 + 2 is 4 anymore, right?
He used to be able to take his favorite students on camping trips with him, but now because of this liberal ideology, he's not allowed to be alone with the students at all.
Oh, that's terrible.
My uncle used to be able to take his favorite students, on camping trips, but now because of gender ideology, he's not allowed to be alone with the students.
Of course he's not allowed. Because if he takes a bunch of boys, 2 or 3 of them might think they're girls at the time. Oh my God, LBGQ, color, technical.
There's a lot of things that he used to be able to do to bond with his students that he can't do anymore because of these whole, gender norms.
And these pronouns, it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
we're off
when I was growing up, there's only 2 pronouns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He and she.
Think you know what she wants, but you don't even ask. She doesn't just, she has feelings, and you just.
It's like tender. I can feel it when you walk, even when you talk. It takes over me. Yes, so tender.
Okay, let's have a serious talk. Today, I have this comment left on one of my videos, and it's not unique. I get a couple comments like this every day. So let's talk about why me being overweight isn't actually a problem. For starters, my weight doesn't affect you. It doesn't change the way that you move through the world in any way, shape, or form. And honestly, when people say things like this, it reflects way more of their insecurities than mine. Now, I know people are gonna be like, oh my God, well, what about your health? Well, not that it's anybody's business, and not that any person should have to validate their health to other people. But, as of today, my resting heart rate is under 60 beats per minute. I have run 3 half marathons, and I ran my best time at my heaviest weight. I exercise every day, either in the form of going to the gym and jogging or lifting weights, or hiking and looking at beautiful plants, or doing yard work in my front or backyard. My body is happy. It's well nourished. It moves. It does every single thing that I want and need it to. And even if it didn't, it still wouldn't be anybody's business. And the last thing, and the thing that I haven't really talked about on any of my socials, is that I used to suffer from an eating disorder. I was really in the depths of anorexia for about 2 years of my life. And for 2 years of my life, I don't think there was a single day that I ate more than 1,000 calories. That was like my hard ceiling, which is crazy to think about now. I was tired. I was going to bed at like 7 p.m. every day. I was killing myself on workout machines and treadmills and stair climbers. All just so honestly, I could exist in a body that, while smaller than this one, was still deemed kind of big by other people. Another super fun thing that happens when you calorie restrict for a long time, my metabolism's shot. Just after 2 years of starving, I was hungry for like 2 straight years. And I didn't want to be in a position of denying my body what I had denied it for so long ever again. Like, you actually can't infer anything about my health from my weight. So suck it, I guess. And my favorite is when people point it out like I need a reminder. Like, societal pressures don't make me hold my phone up here instead of down here. Like, I'm not constantly being berated with pressure to be smaller than I am. Like, I know. So to J-dubs, whatever, my body's none of your business. Also, you're never going to see this because I blocked you.
Hey there! I'll show you how to unionize your workplace at sonic speed. Talk to your coworkers. Discuss your shared concerns and find common goals. Research and choose a union that fits your needs. Share the info with your coworkers. Sign those union cards. When you've got enough support, file a petition with the National Labor Relations Board. Win the election and negotiate a contract. Together, you'll make your workplace better and fairer for everyone. Gotta unionize fast.
I think a lot of us are forgetting that creators' opinions can reflect in their work. And separating the art from the artist is not always applicable when their internalized biases or bigotry shows up in their work. Like when you really, really watch My Little Pony and you take a critical eye to it, the creators are definitely all lives matter kind of people. And a lot of shows try to cover the topic of stolen land and then fail miserably because they have not addressed their internalized bigotry. And that is exactly what Hilda did wrong. Spoilers for the ending of Hilda. I really like Hilda. It's a beautifully animated show. It has really likable characters. Whilst the concept of humans living in a world with monsters is not new, I do believe that they did it in a really unique way. But they tried to cover the topic of stolen land and flopped miserably. The main character, Hilda, and her friends live inside a place called Trollberg, where they have a wall built around the space so that trolls cannot get in. And these people up here are trolls. Throughout the show, we're led to believe that trolls are angry, thoughtless creatures who are inherently violent, and Hilda shows us multiple times that the trolls are not a community that needs to be feared. There's somebody who needs to be understood. Throughout following Hilda, we find out that the trolls are just like every community of people who has good and bad within it, and are just people who are trying to survive their day-to-day lives. Within the story, we find out that Trollberg is actually a colonialist community. And it follows the same story that a lot of us know. Random guy finds a plot of land with a community already living on it, goes, I would like to live here, and then pushes that community off of their land. And of course it doesn't end there. He builds walls to keep that community out and then instills institutionalized oppression, spreads propaganda about this community, which for later generations people are truly going to believe, and then that community is going to be permanently kept out of their space. They even have a statue of this guy in the schoolyard with him standing on a troll's head. So then we're sat here like, holy shit, this is the troll's land. They're not trying to break in to incite violence or anything. They're literally just trying to get back onto their land. But it doesn't end there. The reason that trolls are so attached to this land is because that is where their mother is sleeping. Trollberg is built on top of a sleeping troll that created all trolls. That is their mom. So if you're like me, you're like, okay, what are we going to do to get the trolls back on their land? Are we going to incorporate them into the community, or are they going to take down the walls? You know what I'm saying? What are the citizens of Trollberg going to do to reconcile their ancestors' sins and provide reparations for the troll community? They let the trolls in one day out of the entire year, and they can only come at night. Oh my god, of course it is. I love it when animations continue to perpetuate settler propaganda.
Shit like this brings the movement down. Everyone's a feminist until there is a spider around.